Okay, back. So what did Abraham do? Nothing. It's really embarrassing. It's so obvious. It's like, oh God, how can the Catholics be so dumb? You can't claim a succession based on faith, which is what Eusebius is finally doing, if there isn't one. Okay? So let's go back. What did Abraham do? Did he kiss the feet of some pope? No. Did he observe special days and fast? No. Did he assign Immaculate Conception to a virgin? No. Did he truncate Passover? No, Passover didn't even exist yet. He didn't observe Passover even. Whoops. Did he observe Rosh Hashanah? No. There was no Mosaic law. Did he go to Rome? No, Rome didn't exist yet. What did he do? Well, after he beat the 5-king kind of Pentapolis that was in Sodom and Gomorrah, what became Sodom and Gomorrah, he went to the head of Jerusalem, not Rome. He went to the head of Jerusalem and he gave him 1/10 of everything. That was a voluntary act on his part. Abraham was not in Jerusalem. Abraham didn't live in Jerusalem. Jerusalem was not his town. But he was doing that as a prophetic understanding of what was going to happen in Jerusalem. That story is told in the book of Hebrews, which, Roman Catholics obviously have never read, because it's the basis for the switch in priesthood. The Melchizedek priesthood was the model of Christ's priesthood, which is a complete negation of the Old Testament. That's what the book of Hebrews is about. Hebrews 7:18 in particular says the law became obsolete. Well, if the law is obsolete because the priesthood had to be changed, then you're not doing what Abraham did. You're doing what Israel did. You see the point? Abraham gave Melchizedek 1/10 of everything. Israel didn't exist yet. So you can't use any of the rules of the Israel priesthood because they've been obsoleted, Hebrews 7:18. The whole book from Hebrews 5 to Hebrews 10 is based on what I'm telling you right now. Why the priesthood changed, and therefore the law had to change. So their idea of going back to this hierarchical structure of the Jewish priesthood, and it was an amalgamation of politics and church, but the church and politics were also kept separate at the same time because the priests never actually ruled politically. Only Moses did. And Moses was never a priest. And that's a big point in the book of Hebrews. Christ could not have been a priest under the Mosaic law. Okay, so the Catholics, they're going to claim succession, unbroken from Abraham forward, and especially from Israel forward. If you're going to be a son of Abraham, because that's the first thing that the Jews were, are sons of Abraham, and they're basing their claim on bloodline now. From Hegesippus forward, everything's based on Jewishness. What was it like under the Jews? It's the same system applies to us. Well, really? Okay, but that same system, that very system, the book of Hebrews says was abrogated. And instead, a prior system going back to Melchizedek is inaugurated because Christ had 2 kingships. And that's the theme of Hebrews 2. Whoops. It's called precedence in the law. The only reason church can exist is because of that time back there with Abraham and Melchizedek. That's the whole point of Hebrews 5 through 10. That's where church can come from. Otherwise we couldn't even exist. So his idea of succession is just completely wrong. He's looking for an unbroken chain because that was the Hellenistic idea that of old. You're old. Okay? But that's not what it is. You have Melchizedek, then a separate covenant for a nation Israel. It's totally apart from Melchizedek. Christ is the one in whom both titles are held. But the Jewish covenant is abrogated. Hebrews 7, Hebrews 8, Hebrews 9 explains why. Hebrews 10. It's a better priesthood. It's a better covenant. Kriton. Attic Greek term. Looks like Eusebius didn't know the New Testament either. He certainly didn't know the Old. So, from the get-go, the Roman Catholic Church isn't doing what Abraham did. Abraham went to Melchizedek. There's more to that story, but I'm just, this is the legal precedence that the Bible uses. Okay? And they are totally ignorant of the Bible saying this. So they're not the successors of Christ. Because they didn't do what Abraham did. So they're not the successors of the Jews. Because they didn't do what Abraham did. See, the Jews, even if they didn't believe in Christ, they're from Abraham's loins, Genesis 12, 15, and 17. They get protection. And the Mosaic Law lasted for X amount of years. And then, because the Jews rejected him, that abrogates the covenant. And it gets reinstated back in the millennium, but between now and then, we're a new covenant. That's the theme of the book of Hebrews. Hekaine deithteke. New covenant, New Testament. That's the translation. And the actual words Hekaine deithteke are in the book of Hebrews. The one says chapter 9. When a testator dies, he makes a will. No apostolic succession. You're the direct heir of Christ. Whoops. See, I'm sorry, but the Catholics are as dumb about the Bible as they can be. I mean, the only dumber people I've ever heard of are the JWs, who think that they're the real Jews. They're the people mentioned in Revelation 7, which is a tribe-by-tribe listing of Jews. They don't know the Old Testament either, and they certainly can't read plain English, let alone Greek or Hebrew. But I'm sorry, the Catholics got egg on their face. Their whole raison d'être, c'est mauvais. It's wrong. And for 2,000 years, nobody's bothered to investigate them until I got this book. So, as you can see, this took me a long time to say because this is the hardest part to explain. You can read the guy's book yourself. Link will be in the video description. And if you see something else or something I missed, hey, that's why I'm making these videos, to get feedback, to get criticism, because I can't have it all right. Ta-ta.